We're now going to talk about the many attacks against whole disk encryption. And the attack that is most often used is the weakest link. So first, let's consider breaking into crypto algorithms and brute force attacks. A cipher is considered to be strong when there exists no current practical method of breaking it. This does not mean in future that a method will not be devised. Well-studied ciphers such as AES, Twofish, Serpent should be good for maybe 10, 20 years, something like that. So bear that in mind. They may be strong by today's standards, but in the future there could be practical attacks. To potentially mitigate these future attacks, it is possible in some disk encryption systems to combine or cascade encryption algorithms like using AES, Twofish, Serpent. This could mean that multiple practical methods would need to be devised per algorithm to break the crypto. To the best of the security community's knowledge and based on leaked documents, the math holds up and there is no secret super special decryption computer owned by some secret agency or the Five Eyes. If there is, they don't use it because there's been many opportunities and cases where they could have used it. This all points to there not being any super special decryption computer that no one knows about and it's been kept super secret. This means the only current practical attack on crypto algorithms is brute force attacks, or effectively dictionary and hybrid attacks, which is the same thing really. The future will bring us quantum computers, and we know that this will effectively halve the strength of symmetric keys, meaning we will need to double the key size to get the same level of protection that we have today. This means that theoretically 128-bit keys can be broken on a quantum computer. So you should be using 128 bits as an absolute minimum. In December 2015, NASA publicly displayed the world's first fully operational quantum computer, which is now owned by Google, but it's still pretty basic, but they are definitely coming. Brute force attacking the entire possible 256-bit key space isn't possible as it comes up against the limits of the laws of physics. So using 156-bit is recommended for future-proofing. You could use more, but this is getting into the realms of overkill. Of course, strong passwords must be used to generate the keys, as recommended in the section on passwords. If that is, passwords are used to generate the encryption keys. Implementation vulnerabilities run rampant in both hardware and software encryption systems. There is actually a long history of them. This is a major concern when selecting what product to use. Encryption is hard to get right, and people often introduce weaknesses when they develop it. Unless a system has been rigorously audited and scrutinized, it's hard to have any real faith in it. Open source crypto systems can make assessing it easier due to community scrutiny, and closed source systems rely more on trust. There are potential configuration issues. Some crypto systems give you enough rope to hang yourself and allow you to configure it in a way that can easily be bypassed. Implementation and configuration vulnerabilities are often your weakest link. And then there are deliberate backdoors and implementation weaknesses that can be introduced by an adversary. This is not spy novel stuff. There are many documented cases. The NSA and GCHQ are particularly skilled in introducing these into crypto systems. And when I say skilled, they are genuinely skilled at it, which is impressive, but not good for you if they're your adversary. There's software-based attacks as well. Bad design could result in information being stored in places like the registry, swap, virtual memory, crash dumps, and these could be used to compromise the system. Bad design does unfortunately happen, and no matter how strong your algorithm and password, if your design is doing something silly like dumping your memory when it crashes and leaving it on the disk, that's a big problem. And finally, You have the unknown errors, the features that we haven't planned for. These need to be taken into account of too, and the possible risk around those, and the use of compensating controls are what you would use to protect against unknown attacks. An example of a compensating control to mitigate against unknown attacks against disk encryption might be that you never let your device out of your sight. So that's the start of the attacks against disk encryption.